Champions Cup Round 3 saw 7 teams book their spots in the knockouts. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Another great weekend of rugby. There were, as usual, 12 games in the round. Actually covered 8 of them on the channel. So if you want, go check those out. Covered, most of the URC teams. Couldn't cover them all because some teams playing at the same time, unfortunately. But yeah, I covered as many games as I could over the weekend. So, I was kind of dreaming rugby, honestly. I haven't watched 8 games over the weekend, but a lot of entertaining games. Some games, a little bit one-sided, but still, overall, I think it was a very good weekend of rugby. So, as usual, we're going to go through the games, just talk about each one briefly, because there's too many to, be touching too much on, what exactly happened in each game. And then we'll have a look at the pools and where that kind of leaves teams as well. Who's qualified, who's in decent position, and who's kind of, up shit creek without a paddle, as it were. So, let's start with the first game of the weekend. That was Castres Olympique 20, Bath Rugby 43. And, in this one, Castres, pretty close to Bath kind of in the first half. And they actually, both teams kind of scoring early on. But Castres, a couple of tries in the first 15 minutes. So they take the lead. Then Bath scored, then they scored, but then Bath, kind of took a little bit away from them, coming up to half time, and then a penalty from Castres bring them back closer. But then the second half, then, Bath with tries from Beno Obano, Will Muir, and Tom Carr-Smith, and for them, 6 tries on all. And, a very good win for Bath. And we're seeing them now, they obviously won the Prem last year, but we're seeing them now being properly competitive at Champions Cup level for the first time in a really, really long time. They've got some fantastic players there. Obviously, team kind of revolving around Finn Russell, but he's not the only good player in their team as well. And I think they've come on a lot in the last couple of years as well, and we're kind of seeing the fruits of that this year, I think. But the final score: Castres Olympique 20, Bath Rugby 43 in that one. And let me get on to the next one. So that was one of the Friday games. The other Friday game then, this one I covered on the channel, was Edinburgh Rugby 26, Gloucester 24. So, brilliant comeback from Edinburgh in this one, really. Half time, it's Gloucester up 18 points to 5. And, you had Hathaway going over in the first minute for Gloucester. And then Velicott responding for Edinburgh, but throughout that half, you've got Barton adds on a couple of penalties for Gloucester, and then Charlie Atkinson gets in for their second try just before the break, and you're thinking that Gloucester are potentially going to run away with this, like Edinburgh. Very frustrating in the first half, a lot of errors from them, and not really having the accuracy that they need. But then the second half, they start producing that accuracy, and we see couple of tries, first from Ashman and then McConnell. And McConnell is a great young player as well. He's done really well since he's broken in to the Edinburgh team. And then they get a penalty try as well. So that's their bonus point for them. And Gloucester are trying to keep the scoreboard ticking over with a couple of penalties. But in the end, it's not enough for them. and Edinburgh, I felt on the balance of play, certainly deserved the win. Final score, Edinburgh Rugby 26, Gloucester 24. And again, full review on the channel if you want more details on what actually happened and kind of stats, etc. So those were the Friday games. So then we move into the Saturday game. So the early game was Vodacom Bulls 49, Bristol Bears 61. And now the Bulls, in fairness to the Bulls, they picked a strong side for this game, but all season they've been struggling with the defence, and Bristol, one of the best attacking sides at the moment in Europe, and they just absolutely exploited it, to the nth degree, really. And I thought, like, some of the big players, the Bulls as well, not having, the best of games, like Willie LaRue, I love that guy, but he didn't have a great game. And there's a few others there as well, some big names that didn't really perform for them as well. And, with that, I think Pollard as well was a 10, right? And he didn't have his best game either. Normally, he's very good, with his, tactical kicking, but there was a few mistakes from him and didn't really run the back line all that well. And, they scored, I think they scored, was it 6 tries? Yeah, they scored 6 tries. Actually, no, they scored 7 because they got a penalty try as well, right? But Bristol, I think, scored 9, right? There was 16, there was 16 tries in the game, so they got 7 and Bristol got 9. And, at the start, Bristol, brilliant start, like the 3 tries in the first 7 minutes, and the Bulls are just absolutely reeling from that. And then the Bulls do get a try back, but straight from the kickoff, then Ravubu is over for the bonus point try for Bristol. And then, we have like more tries from them in the first half as well. Like they get a couple of more, and we get one. Jacobs gets his second for the Bulls at halftime, but at halftime still it's 28 points to 47. And into the second half, then who was it? It was we're thinking Bulls, they need a good response, but it's Hayward, right? Yeah, Hayward gets over for Bristol, and Creel does respond, but at that stage, from kind of maybe 20 minutes on, there was always that gap of a couple of scores between the teams. So even though the Bulls were getting tries, the Bears were responding straight away, and it never got to, other than right up until the end, it never got to the point where you thought that the Bulls might actually pull something off in the game, but it never really eventuated for them. And, the final score, Vodacom Bulls 49, Bristol Bears 61. And it's sad to see from the Bulls as well, because like I admire them, and I've said it so often, they're the most consistent team in the URC that haven't actually lifted a trophy. And like getting to finals and always being up there in the league. But this year, like they've really gone down, and sometimes it can happen with a team, right? That you change the coach and major changes have to be made, and there is a period of adjustment, and then things get better. We have to see whether that's what's happening to them now or not is the thing, right? Sometimes that period of adjustment never actually, ends, and things don't improve. So there's no guarantee just because a new coach is trying new things or bringing in new systems that they're actually going to get better. You would expect that there should be some improvement there, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be better than they were before. So we've got to see that with the Bulls. But Bristol, really exciting team so far in the competition. As I said, Vodacom Bulls 49, Bristol Bears 61. Right, let's move on then to the next one on the Saturday. So that was Clermont Auvergne 21, Glasgow Warriors 33. So in this one, Glasgow, great start. Uion Ferry over for a try. And then Hugh Jones. I thought Jones, just back from injury, himself and Tupolatu, it was like he was never away. They just kind of fit together, hand in glove. And they're such a brilliant centre combination. And they're so dangerous as well through the game. And, they get over. And then Kyle Steyn gets in for the third try. Then we have a response from Clermont, Moala in for a try for them. And then Jack Dempsey gets the bonus point try for Glasgow on 34 minutes. Then into the second half, we have a little bit of a revival from Clermont where, they get a penalty try. And then Simone gets in for a try about 20 minutes to go. But then Kyle Steyn just puts puts it beyond doubt with 10 minutes to go for Glasgow. There were 3 yellow cards in the game as well. 2 for Glasgow. And it was actually Schickering and George Horn go to the bin at the same time. And there was a funny one. I think Kyle Steyn was the captain, right? I think he said to the referee, when the referee told him that the 2 of them were going to the bin, he asked, can one of them not come back thinking like that? Because basically one of them was, I think, a deliberate knock on close to their own line. There was all kind of into one, there was one big advantage. So one was a knock on close to their own line. So that was yellow carded to the bin. And then there was another one as well, another infringement. And so one of them was basically, you've given away too many penalties close to your own line. That guy goes to the bin. And the other one was, I think, the deliberate knock on, which was adjudged on its own merits to be a yellow card as well. So, but he was just asking, can we not just get one of them to come back? But no joy for them there. But yeah, final score, Clermont Auvergne 21, Glasgow Warriors 33. And Glasgow really are, they've stepped up and people are beginning to take notice now. No, not just kind of those of us who've been banging a drum for them for a long time in terms of how they've improved through the URC. Now you're seeing, commentators from outside of the URC, from England or wherever, taking notice of them as well. So I think that's a good thing. Just hope that they can continue that momentum through the knockouts and get hopefully at least to a first semi-final. But yeah, Clermont 21, Glasgow 33 in that one. Right, next game then. So we had, for me, the best game of the weekend. I'm probably a bit biased, but I think most people who watched it would say, and for me as well, this one's an instant classic. Leinster Rugby 25, Stade Rochelais 24, or La Rochelle 24. So this one back and forth through the game, and we got JJ Kenny gets in for a try for Leinster in the second minute, and then a few minutes later he actually has a second, and he's been brilliant since he's broken into the team. And we're seeing now something that we haven't seen for a few seasons for Leinster, which is young players who are coming into the URC team and then also forcing their way into the Champions Cup team. A lot of the time with Leinster, what we see is somebody might force their way into the URC team this year and might then, if they're good enough, might then become a bit of a more regular in the Champions Cup, maybe a season or two down the line. But we're seeing a bit more in terms of turnover, and these players come in. I think it's given new impetus and new kind of blood into that squad is helping a lot, I think. But yeah, he gets a couple of tries in the first 10 minutes, and after that, then we have, who is it? Niniashvili gets in for a try, really well worked by La Rochelle. And at that stage then, like half-time, 12-7 to Leinster. Things seem to be going well for them. But then we go into the second half and we got like Joe McCarthy is in the bin at the start of the half. And Tommy O'Brien had been in the bin already earlier in the game. I think it was like the 12th minute or something he goes to the bin. But into the second half, Leinster, a man down, a lot of pressure coming from La Rochelle. And I think McCarthy either got on or he was about to come back on. I think he might have got back on though. And West goes in for the first of two tries from him for La Rochelle. And then that brings them, not just right back in it. I think that puts them ahead right at that stage. They're like 14-12 up. And then we get to this point where 20 minutes to go, Leinster are behind, and they've been in, like, if you go back to, the last, the finals between these two teams, like, Leinster were in similar positions where they got a fast start. La Rochelle worked their way back into the game. They get ahead, and then Leinster have to try and produce something down the stretch to actually win the game, and they weren't able to do it in both of those finals. But we've seen this year that this team have had to do that, on 2 or 3 occasions already. Once in the Champions Cup against Leicester, and a couple of times in the URC as well. I think that has really stood to them because they come up with was it a try from Van der Fleer, starts, bring them back into it. And then 10 minutes to go, we have Robbie Henshaw goes over, and, Leinster now leading with 10 minutes to go. But then West goes in with only 4 minutes left on the clock, and the conversion puts, nudges La Rochelle just ahead of them. It was 24-22 at that stage. And then right to death, Leinster win a penalty, clock in the red. And we've seen them before, clock in the red, trying to get over. And previously, La Rochelle have been able to hold them out. And actually, one of those times, the first Leinster actually gave away penalty. I think it was Ala Lato, right? With a dangerous clear out. And the other time, Leinster weren't able to come up with anything, but both times they lose. But Leinster get the penalty, and Harry Byrne says, I'm pretty sure he just said, I'm taking it, and he didn't mind kind of putting Prendergast's nose out of joint with it. I think he was right. I think, for me, I don't think Prendergast makes that kick. So I'm glad that Byrne did that and said, I'm taking the kick. He nails it. And Leinster get the win. And, it's one of these, talked about it before, it's one of these things where if Leinster can make it far enough in the tournament, these kind of performances and results are really going to stand to them. But it's about whether they can, improve their overall performance enough so that they can make it through the knockout stages and get to semi-final or final where, things like this are really going to, stand to them. But there are improvements from Leinster, so that's brilliant. And La Rochelle really lifted their game as well for this. They haven't been in great form themselves this season, but Leinster Rugby 25, La Rochelle 24. Again, full review on the channel if you're interested. And, we're on to then the next one, which is Sale Sharks 26, Hollywoodbets Sharks 10. So the two Sharks facing each other. And, unfortunately, Hollywoodbets Sharks don't deliver at this level. You really want to see them doing it, but Sale, they start off with a try. in the first kind of 10 minutes or so. Sharks responded with Sharks actually had a penalty for Masuku for them, and then Sale get that try, and those are all in the first kind of 10-12 minutes of the half. Then we don't see anything else until the second half. So 7-3 at half time. Then into the second half, and Bevan Rod and then Tom O'Flaherty with a couple of tries for Sale. We have Manu Chituka gets in for Hollywoodbets Sharks, and then Tom O'Flaherty gets his second and the bonus point try for Sale. And the final score then, Sale Sharks 26, Hollywoodbets Sharks 10. Right, and let's find the next one here. Sorry, this website is not the best to navigate. Okay, next then, another game that we covered on the channel. So Scarlets 38, POW 47. And, in this one, Scarlets, the bottom of the URC, they're in a bit of a dip of form, and they get the worst start that you could imagine, really. They do kind of open the scoring, at least, penalty from Joe Hawkins, but from that restart, Butlin over for a try, and then a few minutes later he's in for a second. Then a couple of minutes after that, we have Modena in for the third try for POW, and MacLeod then gets him back for Scarlets, but again don't really handle the restart and just calming down a little bit. So I think former Scarlets player, right, Carwin Tuipulotu gets in for the bonus point try for POW, and then before halftime, a bit of a rally from Scarlets as MacLeod gets in for his second, then Archie Hughes gets in for one as well. So halftime, Scarlets still in the game, 24-26 at that point. They're just down by 2 points. But then we go into the second half, and Tame Plumtree goes over for a try for them. So now they're in the lead, and then Joe Hawkins gets their fifth try of the game, and they've got 38-26, I think, at that stage. But the last kind of just over 20 minutes of the game, POW come back over the top of them. So you have three tries: Sanaka, Atasogbe, and Tokiahi, all in for POW. And in the end, not even Scarlets do get a try bonus point, but they get denied a losing bonus point. So Scarlets 38, POW 47 was the final score there. Now, again, just bear with me a second while I find the next one. So next one then, Leicester Tigers 57, Bayonne 14. So this one was pretty straightforward, honestly, for Tigers. They get Radwan with a couple of tries, then Reffel and Cameron Henderson as they lead 24-0 at the break. Then Bayonne get in through Spring just after half time, but then we have a hat-trick from Searle in about 9 minutes or something, that just takes, the game is absolutely done and dusted by that stage. And then Chesham and who is it, Eloni or something, I think gets the last try for them. And then there's one more for Bayonne as well. But that second half was just kind of a procession for the Tigers. So Leicester Tigers 57, Bayonne 14 was the final score in that one. Right, and where's the next one? Okay, so another procession here. So Stormers, I don't know why, but they decided that they were going to send a weakened team up to play Quins, and they were rightly punished for it. Stormers' first defeat of the season, and a very heavy defeat. Harlequins 61, DHL Stormers 10, and it was 33-0 at half time. You had Quins scoring, a couple of tries, Kenningham and Murley in the first 10 minutes, then Dombrandt and Cunningham South, and then Nick David, all before half time. Second half, then David, another couple of tries for him, so he gets a hat trick. Zach Carr gets over as well, and Jared Evans gets in. And then in the last kind of 15 minutes, Khan and Mart get kind of consolation tries for the Stormers. Yeah, and final score, as I said, Harlequins 61, DHL Stormers 10. I'm not sure what's the thinking behind it from the Stormers' point of view. Like, you could see, like, reasoning behind the Sharks, kind of, thinking that, just that's the way they seem to be, the Sharks, right? That they very rarely send like strong teams to Europe, but the Stormers normally do. And the fact that they've been unbeaten all season, they were top of the pool, and they I think if they sent a strong team, I would have made them slight favourites for the game, honestly, but they didn't do that, and they got hammered. And now, what you have to think is, what's the knock-on effect of that? Even though it's not the same players, people will look at that and think, well, the Stormers aren't unbeaten anymore, even though they're obviously still unbeaten in the URC. But I think that their first defeat in the URC, in terms of rounds, won't be too far away. I don't think. I think in the next kind of 2 or 3 rounds of the URC, we're going to see them lose that unbeaten streak there as well. Just because that seems to be the way things go in rugby. It doesn't matter about personnel necessarily. Just the fact that that aura is gone can be enough. But Harlequin 61, DHL Stormers 10 was the final score in that one. Okay, and then we're on to RC Toulon 27, Munster 25. This is another really good game. Covered this one on the channel as well, and a bit of a ding dong battle in here too. So we start off Munster with a couple of penalties. Jack Crowley with those in the first half, and then just before half time, then Domon gets in for Toulon. It's converted, and they're leading 7-6 at half time. Then we're into the second half. Ben White, always alert, gets himself in for the lead try, to extend that lead, should I say, for Toulon. Then Calvin Nash responds a couple of minutes later for Munster, and then Doreen gets in for Toulon a couple of minutes after that. And then we come into period where we've got I think in the game there were 4 yellow cards altogether. Tyke Byrne yellow card in the first half, but it continued over into the second half, and Doreen actually got in, I think, just before the final play before he came back on. But then we have 2 players from Toulon go to the bin in the second half. So that was Abedi and Olivon, and Alex Zankerville goes to the bin for Munster as well. And during those periods, the play is kind of switching back and forth between the teams, and we have Devon lands a penalty to kind of stretch that lead for Toulon, and you feel like they're kind of hanging on a little bit, and Munster are starting to build some momentum. And shortly after that, Jack O'Donoghue gets in for a try. And then 10 minutes to go, Tom Farrell is in for a try as well. And that edges Munster ahead. But then with 5 minutes to go, Domon nails another penalty. And that is enough for the win. Munster trying to fashion something in the closing minutes, but they can't. So Toulon 27, Munster Rugby 25 was the final score there. Right, so let's find the next one here. Right, yeah. So next one then, Bordeaux Begles 50, Northampton Saints 28, and Bordeaux were just out of this world in this game. Northampton could not live with them. Northampton get themselves a try bonus point, which I think was basically by the time they got the fourth try was the only thing they were ever going to get out of the game. But they start off with Rayesi gets in early for Bordeaux. Then Pollock with a lovely piece of skill, catches a cross kick, then kicks on for himself, plucks the ball pretty much out of the hands of Pinot, the bouncing ball, and then goes over to score. Just brilliant from him. But then Bordeaux take charge. Got Rayesi, then Pedrello and Wokey all in before half time. So Bordeaux already have the bonus point at half time, 24-7 up for them. And then into the second half, then Rayesi completes his hat trick, and less than 10 minutes later, Wokey gets another couple of tries, so he gets a hat trick too. And then Jalabert on 60 minutes gets in for the 8th try, I think? Yeah, 8th try for Bordeaux. And that's the end of their scoring, 20 minutes to go. By that point, Northampton have 2 tries. That Pollock one for first half, and Tommy Freeman has got in since. And then in the last 10 minutes, Pollock gets in for a second. And then 5 minutes to go, Fischetti drives over from close range to get their try bonus point for them in the game. But there was only one side ever winning this, after kind of 10 or 15 minutes of the game. So Bordeaux Begles 50, Northampton Saints 28 was the final score. And Bordeaux again looking like one of the teams, if not the team to beat when it kind of gets down to the serious stuff later on in the knockout stages. Right, let's find the next one here. So the final game of the weekend then was Saracens 20 and Toulouse 14. And this is kind of turning the clock back a little bit. Saris, they haven't been all that competitive in this competition, in recent years. Obviously, we go back kind of 10 years or so, they were lifting the trophy. But Toulouse now, 2 games on the trot where you would have thought, certainly going into the game that they were the favourites, but they come out on the losing side. And, you got to give a lot of credit to Saris for their display, because they really did, control the game very well and actually made it very difficult for Toulouse. So, first of all, Blair Kinghorn gets in for Toulouse as they take the lead, around about 20 minutes, I think that was. But then Sagoon gets a double before half time. And then Tom Willis, playing against his brother Jack as well. That was a good contest there. He gets in before half time as well. So, Saracens winning 17-7 at the break. Then we go into the second half, and LaBelle gets, lovely step, and then gets in the corner to make it a close game at that point. At that point, it was 17-14. And you thought, okay, Toulouse, if they can fashion something else, maybe, get themselves ahead, they might then start pulling away. But it didn't happen for them. And then Owen Farrell comes off the bench, and around 20 minutes to go, he lands a penalty. That was the final score of the game. Toulouse could not, produce anything else after that. So Saracens 20 and Toulouse 14. And again, full review on the channel for that one. So those were I'm pretty sure that was the last game. So we're going to have a look at the tables. So we're going to start with Pool 1. Top of the table there, Glasgow qualified for the knockout stages, 3 wins from 3. Not just that, but full 15 points. So bonus point wins in each of those as well. So that's brilliant to see. And you would expect that as long as they don't mess things up, they should be going through as the top seeds from this pool. But we'll have to see how things go in that final round. But then Sale in second place also qualified, 2 wins from there, 3 games so far on 11 points. Saracens on the cusp of qualifying, but not quite there yet. 2 wins from 3 for 10 points for them. So they basically need, to guarantee qualification at least, they need 1 bonus point from the final game. But if the Sharks lose, or if the Sharks don't win, they're qualified anyway. But yeah, to keep it in their own hands, they need 1 match point from the final round. And then Toulouse there in 4th place with 7 match points, so potentially could be eliminated. I don't think it's going to happen to them, but it's still a potential thing that could happen. You got the Hollywoodbets Sharks then in 5th place on 5 points, and Clermont Auvergne there at the bottom, no points, and they are eliminated from the Champions Cup. Now they could pip the Sharks and finish up dropping down into the Challenge Cup if they can get to 5 match points, but that might be a bit of a tall order for them given their performances so far. But it's still at least mathematically possible for them. On to Pool 2 then. So this one was always going to go down to the final round, because every one of the teams is on 1 win, 1 loss after 2 rounds. But we are seeing some teams take strides at least towards the knockout stages. So Bath Rugby, one of those, 2 wins from 3 on 11 points. Edinburgh also 2 wins from 3, 10 points, and Toulon 2 wins from 3 on 9 points. Then you have Munster, just 1 win so far with 6 points. Gloucester in exactly the same position, 6 points as well for them, and Castres Olympique on 5 points at the bottom there. So still, any one of these teams can qualify for the knockout stages. Obviously, easier for some than others, but even Bath there, top of the pool, if results go a certain way, could actually find themselves dropping down into the Challenge Cup and being eliminated from the Champions Cup. So that's going to be, I think, the pool to watch in terms of permutations, certainly for the final round. On to Pool 3 then. Got Leinster at the top there, 3 wins from 3, 14 points for them. Then Harlequins second, 2 wins out of there, 3, 11 points. And the Stormers, who again, could have qualified already had they gotten something even against Harlequins, but not quite there yet. 2 wins from 3 on 9 points. La Rochelle in 4th place, 1 win, 6 points. The Tigers, Leicester Tigers, 1 win on 5 points, and then Bayonne at the bottom there. They can't qualify because La Rochelle and 4th are 6 points. So the best they can do, they've got no points now. The best they can do is to finish 5th and drop down into the Challenge Cup. But I would expect, that they're actually just going to finish bottom of the table. and it's going to be, basically two from the Stormers, La Rochelle, and Tigers to go through, and then whoever doesn't make it out of that will drop down into the Challenge Cup. I don't think Bayonne are going to be a factor in that kind of fifth place battle at all. On to Pool 4 then. So we got 3 teams qualified here. Bordeaux Begles, 3 from 3, 15 points. Bristol Bears, 3 from 3, 14 points. And they've been certainly the surprise package so far this year, playing some fantastic rugby under Pat Lam. And then Northampton Saints also qualified, 2 wins from 3, 11 points. And the reason why they're qualified is because these last 3 teams have been pretty abject. Pau, at the moment, the ones that's risen slightly above the others with, getting that win against the Scarlets. So there were 5 points, and then Scarlets and the Bulls, 5th and 6th, both on 2 points. Both can still qualify, and it's a case of win your last game, and hope. Well, I think in the case of Scarlets at least, win your last game and hope that Pau don't get anything out of it. But the Bulls, I'm pretty sure, are playing Pau, so it's kind of in their hands. But will they send a strong enough team to go up there? And even if they do send a strong team, will that team perform? Is the question, right? But yeah, the qualifications still for at least that last place, a little bit up in the air in that pool. But you've already got 3 decided there, so that one, it feels like just a bit of a shootout really in those final games. Okay, so that's it then for this one. I will have the Challenge Cup review tomorrow, because it's kind of getting a bit late here now for me to be able to record it tonight. So we'll do that tomorrow, and then later in the week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, we'll look ahead to the final round of games as well. But as I said, brilliant weekend of rugby, and especially for me at least, the Leinster La Rochelle game was just a reminder of how special this competition could be.